Hi, ladies. Welcome. My name is Dr. Suzanne Rutherford, and today myself and my partner in crime, Jake Wright, will be sharing with you our webinar entitled Progress Over Perfection, Practical Tips on How You Can Incorporate Exercise into Your Everyday Life Again. This was in a webinar that was initially presented and recorded at the Canadian Women in Medicine Conference, where we were asked to speak to these very busy, very motivated, but very busy group of women to help them figure out how they can prioritize their own health and start to fit exercise into their everyday life. Just a little bit of background history. I am a family doctor. I practice just south of Ottawa, and preventative medicine is a huge component of my career and really what I'm most passionate about. And there is no doubt that exercise plays an integral part in preventative medicine. It helps prevent diseases, it helps treat diseases, and none more important, no organ more important does it help and protect and prevent than your heart. And that's why this is an extreme honor, privilege to be able to be a part of this amazing initiative, the Jump In campaign. We are truly honored, proud, and humbled to be asked to be a part of this and to have the opportunity to share this webinar and this information with you. Jake and I are a duo. We've come together. I'm a physician. He is a personal trainer. We've joined together with our mission to help busy physicians, busy working moms, busy women across the country, regardless of what they do, prioritize themselves, find time for themselves, and start taking care of themselves again through the form of regular physical activity and evidence-based nutrition. Through this, we've formed two main organizations. We've got the Canadian Women Physicians Fitness Challenge, where we have over 550 Canadian women physicians across the country who work with us to help make themselves healthier and stronger, feel better inside and out through regular exercise and nutrition. We've also started the Moms First movement, where we work with busy working moms, again, across the country from Victoria to Newfoundland, to help them, again, prioritize and really start to fit exercise and good nutrition into their lives again, so that they are feeling their best and the healthiest versions of themselves. So through the Canadian Women Physicians Fitness Challenge and the Moms First movement, we've had the honor to work with upwards to 1,000 different women across the country to help them prioritize themselves and take care of their health through exercise and nutrition. So the information you're going to hear in this webinar is how we do this, how we help women find the time to take care of themselves. And we really hope that by the end, some of these practical tips and tricks will help you do just the same. At the end of the webinar, at the end of the recording, I will pop back in to say goodbye and also to give you information as to how you can reach out to Jake and or myself at any time to ask any questions, make any comments, or to find out more information how we can help you incorporate the exercise into your life again and get you feeling your best. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and we really hope you find this useful.
So our goals for the webinar and over the course of the next 75 minutes are we're going to share some of the practical tips and strategies that we've seen and through the experiences of our members have really proven effective in creating a sustainable health routine. And with these strategies, what we hope is that you have a few aha moments, as I like to say, that when this amazing weekend is over and you go back into your weekly routine, you have these strategies that you can implement and ultimately help you build and create momentum in your health routine. And with that, we're going to talk specifically to exercise, but these strategies and tips, a lot of them will apply also to nutrition, could be mindfulness, could be meditation. And with that, we're also going to share some of just a sample size of some of the amazing stories of Canadian women in medicine, just like you, who have seen some really great success in creating a sustainable health routine with these strategies and these tips.
There's a lot of reasons why we struggle to get exercise into our life, even though we know we need it. And, you can call them excuses, you can call them obstacles. We personally like to call them roadblocks because, like with any roadblock, there's always a detour. It's just a matter of knowing how to find it. And really, most of our roadblocks, most of our, biggest obstacles, roadblocks, really come from our own minds. And that's what we want to tackle today. We want to show you the detour. So roadblock number one, underestimating the importance of me time. After coaching hundreds of women and counseling thousands of female patients, I would have to say that women struggling to prioritize themselves is without doubt the largest roadblock to them finding a sustainable health routine, whether it be with exercise, nutrition, meditation, mindfulness, or all of the above. From the time we are young girls, we are trained to become good jugglers, raised with the expectation that at any one time, we need to be keeping multiple balls up in the air. If you just Google the term working woman, the search page will be filled with images that look like this woman, or perhaps the next one as well. Ladies, trust me when I say that when you Google men at work, you do not find any of these images. I tried. I actually Googled men juggling balls. Don't Google that, just FYI. Or do, but yeah, found some interesting images, none that looked like this. So now in an ideal world, women wouldn't have to juggle the balls. We wouldn't be the constant jugglers. We wouldn't be the ones responsible for keeping all of these roles up in the air. But the reality is most of us are the ones juggling the balls. The household duties, the working, the mothering, the caregiving, all of these balls we have up in the air. Fortunately, because we're so overwhelmed with juggling so many balls, we often choose to leave the self-care ball or the exercise ball on the ground. We just leave it there because we know we believe we just don't have what it takes to manage other balls. Every once in a while, we do have our moments because obviously we're all enlightened people and we realize, that exercise ball, I really need to be throwing up in the air. I really need to be adding it into the mix because I know it's important for me. So every once in a while we do. We pick up the ball and we throw it in with the other balls. And unfortunately, it's always the first ball that we willingly drop as soon as, life gets busy and time starts running thin. And what's really unfortunate and rather ironic is out of all the balls that we're juggling, it's actually the self-care ball that is the most fragile. It's the self-care ball that's made out of glass when all the other balls are made out of plastic. So what happens? Life gets busy, really busy, and you can't manage all of the balls. The juggling, something has to give. So you let the self-care ball drop. It's the one that we always allow ourselves to drop. It breaks, it drops, it breaks, it smashes into a million pieces. We step on the glass and we hurt ourselves. And what happens? We drop all the balls. Because we didn't look after ourselves, ladies, we injured ourselves, which means we couldn't keep any of our balls up in the air. One of my favorite analogies is the message that the flight attendant always says when we get on the airplane. He says, should the cabin lose pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead bins. Please place the mask over your own mouth before assisting others. We would never dream of feeling guilty of putting the oxygen mask on ourselves in order to keep ourselves well enough to help and protect our loved ones around us, our children, our spouses, our friends, our sisters. So why do so many of us feel guilty when it comes to prioritizing ourselves in our everyday life? Women now more than ever need to start prioritizing themselves again. We need to understand that by taking care of ourselves, we will be better mothers, better spouses, better doctors, better caregivers. By giving more to yourself, you're able to give more. So like many of you, I have been in your shoes. I often found myself continuously dropping the self-care ball before any of the others. I was a mother to 2 young children and I just finished my residency and was starting up my own family practice. Throughout the last year of residency, I had let exercise completely fall out of my life. I felt that between work, study, I simply had no time for exercise. I'd rush home from work to get in as many waking hours with my children as possible. Then I'd spend the night studying for my exams. Then I'd wake up the next day and do the whole thing over again. I was on a hamster wheel and it felt awful. As I was transitioning to my practice and starting to, my residency was done, I was done my exam. That's when my light bulb moment happened on the ski hill at Tremblant. And at that point, I joined a gym, the very gym where Jake actually and I met.
I started by doing 1 or 2 classes a week, but only on my days off. And right away, I could feel the difference that it made on my stress levels. One day, I actually signed up for a class before going home. So I finished work, went to the gym, and then went home. And the whole time I was driving to the gym, I was feeling mom guilt supreme. I was feeling like, I can't believe I'm taking an hour to go to the gym, and that's one less hour with my kids tonight. What am I doing? And I convinced myself it was just going to be that one time, just that one day. Well, I went home feeling like $1,000,000. I dumped out all of my work stress on the gym floor and went home less stressed, happier, more energetic, more patient. Honestly, my family that night had the best part of me. And I can honestly say that having the best part of me for less hours of the day is a lot better than having the stressed out, impatient, irritated, stressed part of me for more hours of it. My husband and I noticed the difference right away. And so all of a sudden that one class started to become a regular commitment to myself. For the 12 years, and I continue to prioritize that exercise time for myself every day. Now, I'll be the first one to say it isn't easy. It's not an easy mindset to come over. So these are the tips that we find help most. One is it's important to schedule this time into your day. Schedule the me time, whether it be for exercise, as we're talking to today, or mindfulness, or whatever it is in your day that makes you a healthier, happier, more balanced person. Schedule it into your time. Write it on your calendar. Put it in your phone. Set reminders. Consider it an appointment with yourself. An appointment that you have a no cancellation policy for. The same way you would not stand up an appointment with your dentist, you would not stand up an appointment with your accountant, you would not stand up an appointment, with your lawyer. Don't stand up the appointment with yourself, and share that appointment with all of your support team, your spouses, your children, if they're old enough to understand, your friends, so that when you are committing that time, when you're in your appointment with yourself, they can help keep some of those balls up in the air for you. I want you all to meet Dr. Karen Rivera. Karen is a psychiatrist who lives in Vancouver with her 2 daughters, husband, and mom. When she was younger, Karen was always active, as figure skating was her passion. Then, just like my own run-in with the M&Ms, Karen's life became consumed by her undergraduate, medical school, and residency. And happiness. Before she knew it, she had so many balls up in the air that she didn't even know where to start when it came to self-care and exercise. She knew that she wanted to make exercise a priority again, but she wasn't quite sure how to fit in. When she joined the Canadian Women Physicians Fitness Challenge, she made a commitment to herself to start taking care of herself. She started with just a few bodyweight workouts a week, and she struggled. We all do when we first start. She remembers how hard they felt, how it felt nauseous and dizzy. It wasn't awesome. It wasn't, but she did not cancel on herself. She did not bail on herself. She kept going. And it wasn't long before she started to see improvements in her fitness that translated to all aspects of her life. Since joining the Fitness Challenge, the Canadian Women Physicians Fitness Challenge, and pushing through that rocky start we all have, Karen has completed over 700 workouts. She has made herself a priority 700 simply by making a commitment to herself and keeping it. She feels proud to be an example to her children and has now inspired her husband to get into fitness as well. By taking the time to take care of herself, she's a better person for everyone around her.
Roadblock number 2, waiting for motivation to strike. I love this quote, which Suzanne shared with me. The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. Motivation, if you think of it like an ice cube in your hand on a hot day, ultimately what's going to happen is as life takes its course, it's slowly going, that motivation is going to seep through, whether it be kids, whether it be work, or whatever it might be that really takes a stab at your motivation. The reality is that motivation, most of us think it's motivation, action, results, but that's not the case. This comes from one of our favorite fitness influencers at Sciat Fitness. And if you're interested in fitness at all, which I'm going to guess that you might be because you're here, definitely want to follow him. He was a speaker at our retreat last year in Canmore, and this is where we got this from him. The reality is it's not motivation, action, results. It's action first, motivation or results second, motivation third. And I want you to think back when you first decided, okay, I want to become a physician. And you had that initial motivation, and then you got into med school, which was super exciting. And then you started going through the throes of med school. It's very likely that you went through some really challenging time and probably had some thoughts to yourself like, oh my gosh, this is way harder than I expected. Is this what I really want to do? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm going to pass this exam, this test, this whatever it might be. But you took the action, you kept putting the action in, and you did pass that exam, you did pass that test, which was ultimately the result that gave you the motivation to keep going and continue trudging through and become a physician. The same goes for your health routine. It's action first, results second, motivation third. And if you can put that action in and see the results, and the results can be, something little like being able to lift your kids more, being able to run after them and keep up with them, whatever it might be. Could be the way your clothes fit. When you see those little results, could be a compliment that you got when you went into work one day. They'll help to continue to fuel that motivation, but you got to think to keep putting that action in. And so a couple tips the first tip is for if you don't feel like working out, which oftentimes we don't feel like working out. People think just because I'm a trainer, oh, you must love to work out and you want to work out all the time. More often than not, I don't feel like working out, but this 10-minute rule is a really, really great one that our clients have had lots of success in implementing. And the 10-minute rule is to just get started. If you just get started, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get that workout in. And if it's that 10% of the time you don't get that workout in, no problem. It was probably not your day. But in any exercise program I create, I like to keep things simple and effective. The same warm-up routine. All of my clients know what CARS means, controlled articular rotation. So if you just start with your CARS, some do skip the CARS, but if you just start with that controlled articular rotations, and perhaps you have your warm-up song, like that UFC introduction, you just play that song every time, and that's what gets your workout started. If you put in that 10 minutes, more often than not, you'll get the whole workout done, and that's where the consistency will come in. And then the second tip is your why. And with your why, in any program that I run, I have clients come in and introduce themselves and talk about their goals. And their goals are typically superficial things. I want to lose X amount of weight, or I want to work out 3 times a week to complement whatever else I'm doing. And then after that, we dive deeper into why are these goals important to you. And that's where you get the true meaning of why they signed up for the program. And in my little intro collage, you saw there was a picture of myself with my dad and a picture of myself with my mom, both in the gym. And oftentimes that why, if your mom is related to your kids, and not only setting a good example, a good, healthy example for them, but also to being able to be stronger, to be healthy, and to be fit, so that years down the road, as your kids get older and get more active, perhaps even grandkids, you have the functional capacity to do the things that you want to do, to be able to really maximize your life and your time with them. And I can say that in my time with my parents, I have a really great relationship with my parents, and part of that has been fueled through exercise, health, and fitness. And it doesn't have to be through working out. It can be through anything that you love to do with your kids. But that why, understanding that why, and just reminding, okay, what am I really doing this for? It's so much more than the 5 or the 10 pounds. And it's so much more than just exercising to achieve a certain number of exercises. There's that deeper why. And when you're not feeling so up to working out, or you just want to quit in general, remember that why. And so we have a really great client. They're all great client stories. I'm going to say this every time, but we got a great client story for you, which is Dr. Christina Moore's story. And I refer to this story a lot because, as Suzanne mentioned with Karen's story, those initial phases are the hardest one. And so Christina is a family physician in Calgary with two young girls, and she joined the program in her initial round. And she was recently postpartum and hadn't been prioritizing herself. And her first round, which was a 12-week round, didn't go very well. She had, started out gangbusters, a couple of weeks of 4 workouts, but then life got busy and motivation wasn't really there. And she had weeks of 1 workout, and she had a stretch where she had weeks of 0 workouts, and she wasn't sure. She's like, I don't know if I'm going to sign up again, but she decided to sign up for round 2. And she flipped the script a little bit and said, okay, you know what? This time I'm going to commit. I want to average 3 workouts per week. No matter what it takes, I'm going to put in the action to average 3 workouts per week. And so some weeks were 2, some weeks were 4, some weeks were 3, but she did it. And with that, she started to see the results from her actions. And that's where the motivation built and built. And you fast forward to 3.5 years later, and Christina started with just body weight workouts, now has a full home gym set up in her garage. She's working out 4 to 5 times per week, quite consistently. And she's even got her husband in on a program as well. And she's a true example of motivation isn't always there, but if you put in the action and you see the results, the motivation will come to continue forward.
Okay, roadblock number 3, the all or nothing mentality. Now this is when good old type A personalities can really kick us in the ass, ladies, when it comes to exercise. Tell me this, why is it that we feel the need to do all the things all the time and to perfection? And if we can't do it all perfectly, we often choose to do nothing at all. I'm sure this sounds familiar to some of you, because I know it sure sounds familiar to me at one point in my life. You decide it's time to start exercising again. So you join a gym, you buy a program online, you sign up for a race, and all of a sudden you feel completely overwhelmed by what is expected. You feel like, you should be going to the gym at least 4 times a week to get your money's worth. The program that you signed up for is way harder and more time intensive than you thought, or the training schedule for that race requires a lot more time and effort than you can manage. And because you can't do it all perfectly to a T, you give up and choose to do nothing instead. One of the biggest barriers to exercising consistently is our own belief, our own mindset that we have to do all of it or nothing at all. And this comes to approaching, our approach to all of our goals. We tend to take on type A personalities, this all or nothing approach, but this especially hits us when it comes to exercise consistency. And it's a shame, because the real secret to exercise consistency, to, fitting exercise into your everyday life, is truly just doing something most days. I mean, we can always do something. We can do 1 round of the workout instead of, we can take the stairs instead of the elevator. We could walk to the mailbox instead of driving with our car and parking. The list goes on and on. Once we give up trying to do everything perfectly, we realize that doing something each day to move our bodies is what matters most. Not all the things, just something. Because the truth is, and this is a really, hit home point for me, is that real results come from doing something consistently, not trying to do everything and burning out so you end up doing nothing at all. So tips and tricks. Again, this is mindset. This is us reframing the way we see things. And there's 2 main mantras that I find that, I've tattooed into my brain that have truly changed my life. And they are that something is better than nothing and done is better than perfect. I use this in all aspects of my life and encourage my clients and patients to do the same. Gone are the days when I feel like I have to do every workout perfectly. There was once a day that if I couldn't do a workout from start to finish, I wouldn't dream of doing it at all. Now I do what I can, when I can, with the time I have, and that's good enough. Some days, again, I would set myself up for a 5-kilometer run. And if I didn't have time to put the 5K in, I would not do anything at all. Those days are gone. Now I do what I can. Story, I actually woke up this morning and I looked in the mirror and I was like, woo, having a good hair day. This is amazing timing. I don't normally have good luck with this. Day of my webinar, I have a good hair day. And you know what thought crossed my mind? I'm not going to work out today because I can't risk the hair. I don't have time to manage this hair later. And these mantras, I stopped and I wanted to lead by example. I really did like you. And I told myself something is better than nothing, Suzanne, and done is better than perfect. So I went down, I did the workout. I didn't do any of the exercises that would make me super sweaty. And I didn't do any of the exercises that required me to lay my head on the ground. But I got a really good workout in what I did. Something was better than nothing. I moved my body today and I celebrated the fact that I did it when really my first initial thought was to give up. So next time any of you are thinking on any act, any behavior that is self-care, again, what in this case, exercise, I really want you to stop and say to yourself, at this moment, something is better than nothing and done is better than perfect. Now, our success story here is, many of you will know Dr. Megan Lyons. She is the founder of, the CPMG. And Meg Lyons is a true success story when it comes to ditching the all or nothing mentality. Meg is a plastic surgeon and mother to 3 boys and is married to an emergency physician. There is no doubt that Megan has one crazy busy life. As a high-achieving and driven female surgeon, Meg has always considered perfection to be the only option. When it came to nutrition and exercise, she often felt that if she couldn't be perfect, then what was the point? It was so easy to just give up if she didn't get her planned workout in or deviated from her regular nutrition plan. If she couldn't get in a long run or a full weight session, then she wouldn't work out at all. She fell victim to the all too common all or nothing mindset. The same went for her eating habits. It was either she stuck perfectly to her planned meals and her meal plan, or she went home and ate an entire bag of chips for supper. A few years ago, she was introduced to the concept of all or something, and this new mindset changed her life. The realization that she could make a mistake, deviate from her plan, or take a day off completely without the guilt made her goals so much more attainable and the whole process so much more enjoyable. If she didn't have time for a long run, no problem. She'd go for a 10-minute walk. That's great. If she couldn't eat a perfectly balanced meal, no biggie. She would just try and balance out the next meal. She tried to do something every day. And over time, those somethings added up to some really impressive changes in her body composition. But even more importantly, it led to her feeling great and enjoying her life without the guilt that comes from constantly striving for perfection.
Roadblock number 4, I don't have the time. And you're going to see this little picture here. And the tip is forget about having a clean house, just exercise. I'm just kidding. The tip, so this comes from one of our members, Danny, who's out in Thunder Bay. And Danny loves to get outside. And she's got 2 young boys and her husband, and they love, whether it be winter, summer, spring, fall, doesn't matter. They just love to do things. And so she has this little slogan on a fridge magnet. And she admits, she was telling me this story. She admits that when company is coming over prior to the pandemic, she would open, she's like, I got so many drawers and so many closets in my house so that if we have a mess around, I can just stuff stuff in. And then company comes over and then they go to open a closet and boom, the mess all falls back out. But the thing with Danny is she's created a consistent health routine, and also too, she prioritizes getting outside, and she's not worried about the way her house looks. Personally, I like a clean house, but with that, the reason why I bring this up is, and I don't know where I took this from, but it's one of my favorite sort of mindset shifts, is instead of saying you don't have the time, because the reality is we all have the same amount of time in a day, say it's not a priority for me right now. Danny doesn't prioritize cleaning her house, but she does other things instead. And with that, the one thing with prioritizing exercise is, and I often say this, exercise is one hell of a drug. And I remember being in university and taking all these different classes, whether it be diabetes, cardiovascular, exercise program, aging process, and it was always comparing drugs to exercise. And I sat there and I was like, wow, exercise does all of this, and it does all of this and more. And if you can make it a priority in your life, I promise you that it will make your life better. And so here are some of our favorite tips and tricks that we've come across to help fit exercise into the time that you have and make it a priority. And the first tip, this was a game changer for me. This comes from Dr. Amy Bromley. Shout out to Amy in Calgary. And she said she'll start a timer for whatever time she has, and she'll just do her workout in that time, whatever she gets done. So, building off of that all or nothing mentality. So she's got 17 minutes. She just does that. And as a trainer, you start and you work by the hour. So it's all about building up your hours and building up your hours. And I would work 55 to 60 hours of personal training at the peak of my sort of personal training. I shouldn't say the peak of my career, but the peak of my busyness as an in-person trainer. And with that, I had a really hard time fitting in my workouts. And on top of that, as a trainer, I had to have these perfectly structured and designed workouts and a really intricate warm up and some perfect program design with different phases and stuff like that. It would often take me 75 minutes to do one of these workouts. And because of this, it was really hard for me to, some weeks I would have 4, but some weeks I would have 1, some weeks I would have 0. It was really hard for me to build up a consistent routine when I was that busy training. And it was when Amy gave me this tip and I was like, oh, I'm going to try that out. That I really started to see consistency. And I haven't been so consistent in the past, I would say 3 years than I have been in my whole career. And so that tip is really great. And with that, the other thing I like to say often is you'll never regret the decision to exercise. So I would get these 20-minute workouts in and I would work hard in those 20 minutes. You have that timer and you see the minutes going down, you're trying to do as much as you can. I would work hard, I would feel great. And I would never regret that 20 minutes or 25 minutes or sometimes 15 minutes, whatever it was. So that was a really big tip for me and one that I think is really, really useful. The other one is having a go-to workout style that is quick and efficient. So we have a lot of timed workouts in the program that have become members' favorites. And just knowing that you have a workout style like that if you need something quick and efficient, start of the day, end of the day, or perhaps midday, as the next point alludes to, you can fit that workout in. And the next point is fit workouts in whenever, wherever. We've had tons of members do workouts in their call room. We've had tons of members do workouts. For example, they drop their kids off an activity. They go and find a little spot that's nice and secluded where no one can see them, and they do their body weight workout, or they bring their dumbbells or whatever it might be. And we've even had, shout out to Nisha for this one, members do workouts. This was again years ago when we were traveling, but members Nisha did a workout in the airport. She was like, you know what? I don't care what anyone else thinks about me. I am committing to myself and I am doing this and I am finding the time to get my workout in. And another wicked client success story for you. This one comes from Dr. Michelle Moret, who is out in Hamilton. She's an OBGYN and she also does work with the university there. She's got 2 young boys and she joined the program. As I'm sure many of you have felt before joining a program, it's, I'm motivated, I'm excited, but I don't really know what to expect. She had very little history with resistance training before joining the program, and she figured, what's the worst that can happen? Well, I'm very proud to say that Michelle is the first client that I've ever worked with that's joined the 1,000 workout club. And she credits this consistency and finding the time to 2 things. First, trial and error. So when she first joined the program, she was like, okay, I'm going to put the kids to bed. I'm going to work out at night. Well, what would happen is the day would go on. All the stresses of the day would happen. She put the kids to bed. Last thing she wanted to do was work out. She just wanted to sit on the couch or read or whatever it might be. So that wasn't working for her. So she said, okay, that's not going to work for me. So the second thing she tried was, I'm going to work out as soon as I get home. Just get home, get it done. Didn't work either. All of these things came in the way, the kids or preparing dinner or work or whatever it might be, didn't work for her. So she really didn't want to, she doesn't consider herself a morning person at all, but she said, okay, I'm going to try the morning. And she tried the morning and that's what worked for her. Just 30 minutes in the morning, And I can remember when she joined the program, it was after a few weeks, I get notifications on my iPad and on my phone when members do their workouts. And every morning I would wake up and I'd have a notification. Michelle has completed her workout. She had found her time in the day that could help to keep her consistent and make the time for exercise. The second thing she credits her consistency to is getting her partner involved. And so her partner knows, and now her kids know that 30 minutes is Michelle's time for working out. And unless the kids are doing the workout with her, she's not to be bothered. And after that 30 minutes, then she's all theirs. But Michelle is a prime example of how creating the time for exercise and just using some trial and error can really help to build a consistent routine. And she's seen some amazing, amazing results to go along with her consistency.
Okay, roadblock. Again, you'll see the perfection word coming up to contests, but roadblock number 5, expecting perfection, not acknowledging the progress. So throughout my years of counseling patients to make positive lifestyle change in exercise, nutrition, any sort of lifestyle habit change, I found that one of the biggest obstacles to their success is their inability to stop and truly appreciate their progress. Any progress, no matter how big or small. Too often they focus on the speed of their progress, expecting it to be faster, or reserve their celebrations until their end goal is achieved. Their eye is on the finish line, and that's where they're focused. They forget to stop and truly appreciate the milestones that they make along the way. As a result, they really easily feel discouraged and second guess the process itself, and often end up abandoning the positive habits altogether. Perfect example. Again, exercise isn't about weight loss, but it's often what our clients and women will talk about. You'll hear women say, I want to lose 10 pounds. A month later, they've lost 2 pounds. And instead of going, woo, I feel good, I've exercised again, I'm feeling better, I'm fitter, stronger, I've lost 2 pounds. Instead, the conversation goes, well, how have I only lost 2 pounds? I've been putting all this time and effort in. I've only lost 2 pounds. Lots of women who set out to exercise and put these large goals on themselves, a week will go by and it will be a busy week of call and kids and life. And, they manage to get 2 workouts in. And the script is, I only managed to get 2 workouts in when I really wanted to get 4 or 5. Instead of celebrating, that they got any workouts in during a really busy week, they instead were beating themselves up in the fact that it wasn't as many as they had anticipated. I truly believe that one of the best ways we can build a sustainable exercise and health regime is to focus on the direction we're traveling and not the speed that we travel in. We need to stop focusing on where we aren't and start focusing on where we came from and celebrate the process and celebrate the fact that we're moving in the direction that we want to go. We need to stop expecting perfection from ourselves and start celebrating our progress. I remember talking to a patient. She came in to see me. She had her second child and came in to see me about 9 months postpartum. Like so many new moms, she was so busy with life that she completely let her exercise ball drop to the ground. She came in actually asking me for blood work because she was feeling really tired, fatigued, irritable, and lack of libido. For any of you that are family doctors or general internists in any way, I'm sure you see multiple of these consults a week. So after my usual consultation and conversation, we both agreed that exercise would be the most effective treatment for her. And unlike many of my patients, she actually agreed with me, which was great. They don't always like to hear the old exercise card, but you know what? She agreed. And she said, you know what, Dr. Rutherford, I am going to start running again because I used to love to run. Before kids, running was my passion. It made me feel good. It made me feel strong. It helped me reduce stress. I'm going to start running again. So there she walked out the door with my prescription for exercise in her hand with her goal to run. She came back and she saw me 6 weeks later in follow-up, and I asked her, how's the running going? She said, you know what? Started out strong for 1 to 2 weeks, and then it started to fizzle out. And I asked her, well, what happened? Let's try to troubleshoot this. And she said to me, I was running 5 kilometers, but I was so slow compared to how I used to be. I used to be able to run a 5 kilometers in 25 minutes, and now I'm running a 5 kilometers in 35 minutes. And there was kind of silence in the room. And I looked at her and I said, but you ran 5 kilometers.
And she looked at me and she said, yeah, but it was super slow, like really slow. I used to be so much faster. And again, I looked at her and I said, but you ran 5 kilometers. And then I saw the light bulb go off. She had her aha moment. And by far, in my opinion, the best moments in medicine and in coaching is when you can see the light bulbs go off in your patients or in your clients right in front of you. She realized that she was so focused on how much slower she was, slower than she was, years ago when she was not a mother. She hadn't had children. She wasn't postpartum. She didn't have the busy career she did have. She wasn't living through a pandemic. She was comparing her now self, her present self, to her past self. And because she was comparing herself and expecting herself to be the same, she decided that no running was in some way better than slow running, which is absolutely crazy when you say it out loud. But again, these are the conversations we have as women at the time. She was busy looking for perfection to run the 5 kilometers at the same speed she used to run, that she didn't stop and celebrate the progress. She didn't stop and celebrate the fact that she is now running again, where she'd been years, had been sedentary for years. So practical tips for helping to overcome, to actually stop and appreciate the milestones and the progress and not just focus on the finish line. The first tip is to make realistic fitness goals and build on them. If you, leave this presentation, and we hope you do, thinking, you know what, exercise, I really want to make it a part of my life again, and you've been, fairly sedentary, or you haven't had exercise a significant part of your life for some time, don't try to go from 0 to 100. Start with 1 or 2 workouts. And when those 1 or 2 workouts a week feel good to you and they, start to feel like your natural part of life, like a habit, then start to build on those. Go from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. The second tip, and super important one, just like this patient story, is to let go of the past. Really, one of my favorite sayings is, comparison is the thief of joy. Stop comparing your present self to your past self. When you set out with your new exercise goals regime, really focus on it about being the best you can be now. Don't compare yourself to how you used to be. I'm sure many of you at one point were, very elite athletes, hockey players, ringette players, gymnasts. I have no doubt. I am not one of you. I've never been an elite athlete, but I know there's a lot of you out there. And I know because I talk to you and I hear you comparing yourselves to how you used to be. And, when you get back into fitness, you expecting yourself to be right back there. And what I can say is just don't do that to yourself, ladies. You are now in a different stage, a different age. You have different challenges. You are a different person and a better person in all those ways. So just focus, exercise, feel like you are the best version of yourself now. And I have no doubt many of you, like Dr. Christina Moore, will get back to those levels that you used to be when, should you exercise consistently. But don't make that a priority. Don't focus on that. Don't compare yourself to how you used to be. My last one is to actually document the wins and stop focusing on the losses. And when I say document, whether it be journaling, physically writing it down, that's what I like to do, or even just mentally taking a moment in your day, your week, your month, where you can stop and really focus on the progress. Focus on the fact, whether it be, I just worked out consistently 2 times a week for a month. That is amazing, because I did not do that for years of my life. 2 times a week. I did 1 workout this week. I was on call this week and my kids were sick and I was on quarantine for COVID or whatever hell else is going on in our lives. And I actually did a workout, and that is progress. And that is something, and it's celebrated. And just like what Jake was saying before about, taking the action to get the results, to see the motivation, stopping and appreciating your progress, stopping and appreciating wins, what you did manage to get done will give you the motivation you need to keep going. And with that motivation will come the exercise consistency that you're all looking for. So our client story, a dear friend of mine, Dr. Aisha Hussain, she and I, we wasn't together. Aisha is a mother of 3 and family doctor living in Uxbridge, Ontario. She didn't really grow up, with exercise a part of her life. But she did really want to get back into fitness after she had her 3rd child. For the same reason many of us do. She wanted to lose some of her pregnancy weight and feel like herself again. Although she saw some success initially, she did struggle at first to exercise consistently because she was juggling so many balls up in the air. Again, multiple children, busy work life, we've all been there. Her initial goal was about losing the pregnancy weight. And there were many days when the end destination, that final finish line, did really feel impossibly far away. However, once Aisha stopped focusing on the finish line and started to appreciate her small daily progress and the milestones that she was making, she found it so much easier to keep going. She was finally able to establish a consistent exercise regime. Aisha will often compare herself to the story of the tortoise and the hare. It's about the slow, steady progress. It's not about being the fastest or the most perfect that wins. It's the slow, steady progress that wins the race. And even more so than that, it's taking the time to appreciate your progress and to really celebrate it that will give you the motivation to keep going.
Roadblock number 6, self-sabotage. And self-sabotage, this one really comes down to how we treat ourselves. So I want you to think of this. A friend comes to you, think of a closest friend comes to you and says, oh, I feel horrible. I've been eating my feelings. I haven't been exercising. Life is just so busy. My kids are out of control. Work has been super stressful, and I just haven't been motivated to work out. What would you say to that friend? You'd probably say something like, you know what? It's totally understandable. You're going through so much right now, and you maybe just need to take a break. Breaks are okay, or you can start fresh next week. I'll be your accountability buddy. You can send me a text. We'll do a workout on Monday and text each other, whatever it might be. You give your friend some positive, reinforcing encouragement. Now flip the script. And if you are the one who's feeling horrible and you've been off with your nutrition, you haven't done any exercise in the week, life is crazy, the kids are all over you, the stress is building up at work, and you're just feeling really unmotivated. How do we often talk to ourselves in this scenario? Oh, I'm such a failure. Oh, I'm so ashamed. I'm so discouraged. Why can't I do this? I see all of these other women who are able to do this. Why not me? Why do I even bother? I'm just going to be stuck this way forever. I guess I'll quit. This is what we refer to as self-sabotage, and it really comes down to the way you speak to yourself and your inner dialogue. And being a physician, as you all know, is a very tough job, probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. Being a mom, if you're a mom on top of that, is also a very hard job, perhaps even harder than being a physician. You combine those two, and then building a consistent exercise routine, that's not an easy thing either. You combine those three together. If you are hard on yourself, you are going to make it so much harder to excel in those three things. If you can be kind to yourself, be your own friend. That's tip number 1. Talk to yourself as if you're your own friend. Give yourself some positive encouragement. Give yourself a break from time to time. You will be able to excel in those three things and to ultimately build up that consistent routine. But if you're constantly self-sabotaging yourself, you're only going to make things harder and have those feelings of anger, frustration, discouragement, and wanting to quit. And the other tip is it's never too late to get back on track. You're one workout away. You're one bite away from getting back on track, and just start fresh. And with starting fresh, there's a few different ways that I like to sort of promote this in fitness groups and fitness challenges. But start fresh, turn the page, usually on Mondays, but doesn't have to be. Set small goals, as Suzanne alluded to, and profess those goals to someone, a friend, your partner, your fitness network, whatever it might be, because if you tell someone, you're more likely to stick to it. And so we have another amazing client success story, and Celia is here today listening to us. Shout out to Celia from Sioux Lookout, Ontario. And I got to admit, before I met Celia, I didn't know where Sioux Lookout was. But Celia's story is one that I'm sure many can relate to, where she had gone through a monumental life event, and she joined the exercise program and said, I want to get my body back. I'm going to work. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my body back. And she was working out hard, vigorously. I think she described it as one time, and like just super dedicated and almost militant. And then she was working out hard, and the pandemic hit. The gym shut down. And I was like, oh my gosh, all that hard work I've been working for, now I have no gym. I have nowhere to work out. All the progress that I've made is going to be lost. I don't know what I'm going to do. And it was an example of a self-sabotage mindset. And I remember she put a post in our group one day saying, the gym shut down, and basically expressed her feelings. And she got some amazing feedback from the Canadian Women's Physicians, as we so often see. And it was, just do what you can. Just keep going for the time being. It's only going to be temporary. Friend talking to friend. And Celia took that advice. And my advice was, because I've seen this time and time again, people take a week off, they take a month off, they take a year off. Strength comes back quickly, and that's just it. I created a post this week about it, #JKG, just keep going. And she flipped that mindset, and she just kept going. And she bought a set of home dumbbells and did some workouts from home. And then when the gyms opened back up, she got right back into it. Now the gyms are shut, so she's working out from home again. But it was flipping that self-sabotage mindset. And again, as I talked about in the beginning in my intro, one of the things I love so much about what I do is how it can transition into day-to-day life. And flipping that self-sabotage mindset, you build physical strength in the gym, but if you can flip that self-sabotage mindset, you build mental strength as well. And that will carry over into way more than just exercise and being a physician and being a mom. If you are your own friend and sort of your best friend, lifting yourself up when times get tough, as we've seen Celia do, it's going to make drastic improvements in all areas of your life.
Roadblock number 7, and this one personally is super incredibly important to me, and one that I really like to focus on when I'm coaching. And it's the fact that too many of us use exercise as a punishment for what we eat. Too often we hear women speaking about exercise as a way to right their wrongs. I drank too much wine last night, so I got to hit the treadmill today to burn it off. I'm going to work out at lunch today because I'm going out for a friend's birthday tonight. I want to be able to indulge and not feel any guilt. This type of mentality trains our brain to see exercise as a form of punishment instead of pleasure. Instead of looking at exercise as a way to burn calories, I really, really think it's important that we all restructure the way we see it. Again, we flip the script. Instead of I run to burn calories, how about I run because my body can? I run because I'm strong, my arms are strong, my lungs work, my heart works. I run because it releases stress, and all of the other things that can come from a really, really good workout. Or how about instead of I lift weights because I want to get rid of my flabby arms, how about I lift weights so that I can lift my children with ease, carry them up the stairs without feeling short of breath. I lift weights so that I'm strong enough to be able to continue to do the things I love, like the downhill ski. I lift weights because I want to be strong enough to fly down the hill and chase my 14 and 17-year-old on the ski hill, who my amazing little skiers, I want to be able to keep up with them. That's why I lift weights. I lift weights because it makes me feel strong and seriously badass. The minute we start focusing on what we love about exercise and how it makes us feel, it is no longer a daily chore that we need to fit into our long list of to-do items in the day. Because part of your day you actually look forward to, it's the day that you dread. Exercise is not a punishment, and it should never be seen that way. It is honestly a celebration of what your body can do, and it should be completely disconnected with anything to do with what you ate. So tips for, again, getting over this really, really common mindset. Again, focus on how the workouts make you feel, not the purpose of them. I'm doing this because, I'm trying to lose weight, or I'm trying to focus on how it makes you feel as you're working out. Even when it feels shitty and hard and awful and you feel like you're going to puke, which, again, I tend to not work out to that much.
but a lot of you do. My point is, stop and celebrate what it's doing, how it's making you feel. I just picked up a 10-pound weight today instead of the 5 pounds that I picked up, and that makes me feel amazing. That makes me feel accomplished and strong. Be mindful of how that exercise in your fitness regime is translating to other aspects of your life. As I said earlier, now I can climb the stairs with my baby in my arms and pop in the bath, and I'm not puffing at the top. Now I can run after my child as they're trying to, learn to ride their two-wheeler, and I'm not dying. Now when I'm in surgery and I'm having to stand for long periods of time, again, trying to talk like a surgeon, this is way outside my wheelhouse, but I feel stronger at what I do. All of these things are what we should be focusing on when it comes to exercise. And really what I like to talk about when I'm talking to patients and clients is about building your own fitness recipe, your own exercise cake, because too many of us end up feeling like we should be doing certain exercises because we think that's what's best, when really the exercise that we should be doing is what we love most. So for me, my exercise cake looks like this. The bulk of the cake, the flavor of the cake itself is made from strength training. Because as I mentioned earlier, strength training makes me feel good. It makes me feel strong. It makes me feel badass. It makes me feel like I'm kicking the whole aging process in the butt. And it translates to other aspects of my life that I enjoy. So strength training for me is the bulk of my cake. Then I ice my cake with the activities that I love, because we all know that icing is like the yummiest part, the best treat. So I ice the cake with what I love to do, but what I don't always have time in my everyday life for. So that's the skiing, the mountain biking, the hiking, the things that I love to do on my days off, and the things that the strength training allow me to do and enjoy even as I get older, even in my middle age. And then the sprinkles on the cake, the sprinkles on the cake are the things that I don't love as much, but I know are good for my body and I know will allow me to enjoy the rest of the cake more. So that's for me, the yoga, the mobility, the foam rolling, the stretching. My cake is not going to look like anybody else's cake. And I'm the last person in any of my coaching to tell you what your cake should look like. Develop your own cake. For some of you, the cake itself might be cardio. It might be the Peloton bike. It might be whatever it looks like. Your cake and your icing and your sprinkles are going to look different. But once you take some time to prioritize yourself and figure out your own recipe for your own cake, all of a sudden, exercise, like I said, won't be something that you dread. It won't be a punishment. It will be something that you love and that you actually, in many cases, even crave. Figure out how you like to move your body. Figure out what exercise you like in any way and do more of that. So Deb Gilchrist is a long-term member in our Fitness Challenge groups. And really, as all of our client success stories, she's a really incredible woman. She is a GP in hospice who lives in Burlington. And she is such a valuable member in our family because she's so open about her stories and so supportive, and she shares a lot of her reality. And I think a lot of women resonate with her, and I know I definitely have. She does have a history of disordered eating patterns and over-exercise. And she's been really brave to share that with our family and to allow us to share that with you today. And she has made an incredible transformation and learned to overcome, all of those previous issues and seeing exercise as a way to, to overcome what she eats or as a way to exercise off calories. She's completely overcome that mindset and is now living her healthiest and balanced life ever. She's worked extremely hard, both mentally and physically. And like I said, completely transformed the way she eats. She now really focuses and celebrates on how exercise makes her body feel and no longer associates it with anything that she had to eat. She's done this by completely separating exercise from her fitness goal. She's completely separate exercise from her weight loss goal. So exercise and nutrition, she's completely separate. Well, they both obviously work symbiotically, and are related to overall health. She's shifted the focus of exercise off of weight loss altogether. Instead, she now just looks at exercise and focuses on how it adds value to her everyday life through increased strength, stamina, and flexibility. Deb found it helpful to actually sit down and plan her workouts a week ahead at a time to actually figure out what days she's most likely going to be able to fit those workouts in based on her time constraints. She in no way relates it to the meals that she may or may not eat in that day or any indulgences she may have. By focusing on how exercise makes her feel, she now finds joy in the exercise itself. And from that joy comes the consistency that we all strive for.
Roadblock number 8, placing too much emphasis on outcomes we can't control. This is one of my favorite memes from the internet. So do any of these sound familiar? You've probably come across some of these. I did a lot of client assessments in my day, and often these were the things that I would hear. I need to lose X amount of weight by this time for this upcoming event. I'm going to cut out X, Y, and Z out of my diet for the next few weeks so that I can achieve this result. I want to be able to run 5K in under this amount of time by this date, and I want to do a chin-up by my next birthday. These are all great outcomes that by all means go ahead and work towards. But the worst thing, and I always try and steer clients away from this, is putting a time frame on things for a few reasons. Reason number 1, if you don't reach the goal in that time frame, feelings of anger, frustration, discouragement often set in, and these things are out of your control. Reason number 2 is all the good that has been done, whether it be nutrition changes, exercise consistency, building cardiovascular health with your runs, building up strength with your chin-ups, gets put on the back burner, put on the wayside, or becomes an afterthought because you didn't achieve that goal in that specific amount of time. And tips for this roadblock, first and foremost, I love this one. This came from my precision nutrition certification, are to focus on behavior goals versus outcome goals. A behavior goal is something like, this week I want to work out 3 times, and you adhere to that behavior. Could be, I want to eat a big salad 4 times this week out of 7 days for my lunch. It could be, I want to drink 3 cups of water each day because I'm never drinking enough water and I just drink coffee. Focus on those behavior goals. And with Precision, what they do is they have a bi-weekly adherence chart that you give yourself little check marks when you adhere to that goal. You want to start with small goals, and as Suzanne talked about, build the momentum on those goals. You can have your outcome goals, whether it be the 5K, X amount of weight loss, the chin-up, but those behavior goals, what they're meant to do is to help you to build up momentum, build up confidence in your abilities, and as you adhere to those behavior goals, you'll get closer and closer to those outcome goals. The second one is avoid blanket statements, time frames, and setting up goals that are unsustainable. If you saw our talk last year, we really emphasize sustainability, and if the things that you are doing aren't going to be sustainable, then where you're starting and the results you get to, if you can't keep up with those habits and those behaviors, oftentimes that progress will be lost, and usually and then some. So it's got to be sustainable. And with that, just consistent. As we talked about, you can have breaks and you can have time off, but then you get back into it when the time comes. And focus on non-scale victories. So that those victories Suzanne was talking about, this next slide shows a list that I created of 100 different non-scale victories, stuff that is not related to the scale, which we really emphasize in our fitness communities, because as I talked about, exercise is one hell of a drug, and there are so many benefits going on if you put in that consistency, and you can see just some of the.
Hi again. Thank you so much for sticking with us and in watching our webinar, Progress Over Perfection. We really hope that each and every one of you will walk away with at least 1 or 2, maybe more practical tips on how you can start to incorporate daily exercise into your life again and start prioritizing yourself again. As I mentioned earlier, Jake and I would love the opportunity to address any questions, comments, talk to you about, how you might be able to start to exercise more, and be, you know, the healthiest version of yourself inside and out. So if you would like to get more information, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can find information about the Moms First Movement at www.themomsfirstmovement.com. That's www.moms, M-O-M-S, first, that's the number 1, ST movement.com. You can also email us directly at info@themomsfirstmovement.com. We look forward to hearing from any or all of you. Like I said, it's our passion to help women find time to prioritize themselves again. And any way that we can help any of you, we really do welcome that opportunity. Thank you again, Jump In, for including us and giving us a chance to share this information. It really does mean the world to us. We look forward to moving along with all of you over the next 30 days and seeing what we can all do together. Take care. Have a great day. Bye, ladies.